Welcome, ladies and gents, to another episode of Peace Talk. This is the Peace Dealer, and today I have a very angelic guest who goes by the name of Mina Simone. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going with a more formal approach with this because anytime I do a peace talk with a fellow Gemini, like it goes in. It's definitely can go all over the place. So in the best of ways too. So definitely excited for it, to be honest. So you're representing Mexico.
Yep. I'm in the heart of Mexico right now and I love it.
That was amazing. I remember when I first spoke to you and you said that, I was like, oh snap, she's really out here. Like, damn. And you weren't just there too. Like I think you had finished doing a very important ritual. Like you were whatever work you were doing out there really struck me. It's just very interesting.
Oh yeah. It's like medicine is abundant out here, so I'm like, I'm gonna get all my training as much as I can out here, as much as possible.
Wow. So I used to live in El Paso, and the farthest out Mexico I've ever been was Juarez.
Oh.
So when you say the heart of Mexico, when you say the heart of Mexico, how much farther away from that edge to the border is that?
So I'm probably like 10 hours away from Juarez.
Wow.
I'm like 3.5 hours north of Mexico City. So if you look at Mexico and how it goes off into the Yucatan, and you just go into that little middle part, it's like the belly button, or they call it the heart. So it's on a bed of cords. So the energy here is super powerful.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the vibe, it's like more dense, or like you can feel it more densely instead of being like interfered or.
I mean, like you come in, there's angels everywhere, and like you feel this magnetic pull as soon as you get into this town. It's like this super cosmopolitan town in the middle of Mexico. It's like the most un-Mexican city in Mexico, but it's still Mexico.
Wow, that's deep. That's interesting. Wow. And you're also from Haiti, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's what's up.
Oh, yes.
So, right. And Haiti is a part of what section of islands?
Well, it's in the West Indies, the Greater Antilles, also known as the Persian Antilles, but we share an island with the Dominican Republic.
Aha, okay, gotcha. And then Puerto Rico is like an island off of it or part of the mainland?
It's an island off. Puerto Rico's closest to the United States than we are. So.
Oh, right. That's deep.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel any sort of way about the president?
I mean, so we're kind of used to imperialist powers messing with our affairs. So it was a little sad when he was assassinated. We're like, wow, our president got assassinated. Okay, well, dang. And then, of course, the earthquakes.
Right. Recent or the famous one?
Recently. And, exposing all the natural mineral resources. Because Haiti has oil, which is why the Clintons and the Bushes can't stay out of there.
Boom. No wonder. And children, huh?
Yes.
Damn.
So it's complicated. It's very complicated. They're just like they're trying to shake the island and just free the resources, but people are strong, so it's all good. We're gonna survive this like we've survived many other things.
Right, which is a huge testament. Like even from the inception and the history. So when I realized you're Haitian, I thought that was really awesome.
Oh, cool. Thanks. And luckily we have the support of Latin America. They always come in, like Cuba shows up, Mexico shows up, and they're just like, all right, we're here. And the US shows up and kind of kicks them out, and we're just like, what the hell? But it's very political. It's very political.
Right. No, I feel you.
It's the price of freedom.
Which is almost impossible not to be, especially given how serious and less of like a Hollywood, just like glamorized version things can be out here. So yeah, very interesting. So personally, actually, before we even go into that, you did mention that you're coming into Mexico to really, learn and do certain workshops. Could you speak more to that as far as like the nature of what you're learning?
Yeah. So I came originally to learn about so many things, like one of them being the calendar, because if you ever study like Mayan astrology and all the different calendars, there's a million different calendars, especially in Mexico. There's like the Mexica, there's the Mayan, and then there's a few others. And so because there was a discrepancy in the Mayan oracle and the Mayan calendar, I was like, okay, I have to find a calendar person that can break it down for me. And so I came here to learn about that. And then I did the moon dance, which taught me more about the Mexica
Based on the moon
cosmology.
phase?
Well, actually, the moon dance is when we dance. I'm a part of the big one. It's Harvest Moon in October, and we dance for 4 days, and no, 4 nights and 5 days. We fast, and it's like thousands of medicine women just dancing and praying, and we have like 8 temescals, which are the sweat lodges. So we're just praying from moonrise to sunrise for 4 days straight. It's amazing. So, and we're learning all about the ancient teachings from the abuelas, and they just teach us like the ancient ways and connecting with like the obsidian and the purpose of why the sun and the moon moves the way it does and connecting to certain stars. And so that goes right in line with the I was initiated by Ari into Toltec shamanism. And so I showed up to the moon dance. I'm like, hey, and it was like an expansion of what she had introduced me to. I was like, whoa. So each night was dedicated to a direction.
Nice.
And those energies. And it's like medicine, plant medicine, astrology, crystals, healing, all combined into one. So, and then recently, I started studying with a new teacher, and that's when we started talking. And he teaches Andean shamanism. So I'm learning all about healing the wounds of the soul. So, because you have there are like 5 main ones, like abandonment, rejection, and a few others. And so learning how to clear those out and do ancestral constellations. So working through the traumas of your father, your mother, your mother's mother, your father's father, and so on and so forth, and embodying that. It's really intense work.
Right. That's amazing. That's super deep, especially more so because that the practical application, right? Where you don't just have the crystals and you have all of them, like you're able to work with it socially and out there. Did you mention doing a bit of like some herbology?
Yeah, for a while, I've been working with the plants. Like my walk with the plants has been quite dramatic and interesting. Normally, when I'm not in ceremony, I make tinctures in my specialty is like non-alcoholic tinctures, because sometimes people just don't want alcohol in their tinctures. I don't know if you've ever taken a tincture and you're like, ah, that burns. And it's just like, no one wants to take it if it doesn't taste good. So I made tinctures that basically taste good.
Nice. And
So,
which as a Gemini makes me understand more. It's like you're manifesting cancer. You're manifesting the water or the juice, right? But for those who are curious, what's your moon and rising sign?
My moon is in Taurus and my rising is Scorpio.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Everything I do has to be super intense.
So your sun would be in the 8th house in some charts, which is very fascinating to me. Like some of the most fascinating people I've met are 8th house sun Geminis. In fact, it's interesting. I just spoke to one. I did a reading yesterday, but he literally just came out of a Bufo ceremony. And it's like y'all are constantly transforming and coming into wisdom. It's very fascinating. Y'all always doing the most intense stuff whenever like we tap in. Like I'm in the heart of Mexico, changing the world. Like I'm doing this intense like ceremony right now. I'll get you back and like, damn, okay. Y'all are not going to play around. That's what's up.
Oh yeah. And I'm getting ready to go to the jungle, sit with my teacher. My teacher's going to send me off with his teacher on another journey. So who knows what's going to happen with that. Whew.
Right. Do you feel like being in the 8th house, or rather, how do you feel like being in the 8th house like changes your relationship with people? Especially like being able to just psychically sense their intentions or like any more intense experiences.
Oh man. I feel like when I'm around people, that's when their true nature just comes out. It's just like whether they're trying to like hide it or not, like the mask falls off, or they're just like, I just have to tell you something, and I'm like, whoa.
Oh, so people will just spill the beans like indiscriminately, like just come to you and be like, I don't usually tell people. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh yeah,
all the time. Damn, that's wild.
Oh yeah,
that's so wild. Like that's so fascinating.
Like the effect of I don't know. You give someone truth serum. It's like my energy being around my energy for 2 years.
Right. Like, it's kind of like in Lucifer too, where like he can sniff out people's desires, and like you can't, when he asks you that, you can't lie to him. It's like it comes out. It's like, holy crap. That's amazing. And you do have your moon in Taurus too. So how much do you feel that grounds you? I always respect the exalted moons.
I think my moon is what keeps me from exploding. I mean, I do have explosive tendencies from time to time, but it's like a slow eruption. I mean, it has to be super bad, but I'm able to like breathe and command a like grounding presence around me and show absolutely no emotion whatsoever. So unless you really know me, my friends are like, she's super pissed, and I'm like super calm. I'm like, I'm not going to react.
That's deep. I would imagine that makes you really receptive to other people too, in a very like different way. That's really interesting. Complex for sure.
Well, it was perfect when I was teaching kindergarten. Like the kids were always calm around me, and I could always keep them calm. And I was like, here, sniff this lavender essential oil. That'll calm you down.
Wow, that's genius. We like her. That's awesome, really. Sorry, I'm just kind of really tripping out because like as this always happens too whenever I like talk to like the Gemini or people who represent Gemini or have Gemini, like a blizzard of realizations will just start coming through. It's just like, oh snap. Like, so thank you. But personally, you call yourself the spirit tour guide. What really inspired you to go down this route, and what does it mean to be a spirit tour guide?
So, well, first of all, I pretty much make my living when I'm not online, doing online stuff, like doing, uh, leading people around. Like I'm literally like a tour guide, and I do ceremonies. So I do a lot of spiritual, you could call it spiritual tourism, where I'm just like, let's go on this adventure and go on a deep transformation, and I'll bring you back to this world a completely different person. And you're going to come back with this knowledge and this knowledge and this knowledge. I consider myself like a cosmic adventurer. Like I'm constantly going through different realms. And then I come back and I'm like, hey guys, let's go on this retreat and you're going to go on this journey with me, whether it's like a day retreat or a 6-day retreat. And with that, I was just like, yeah, I am like a spirit tour guide, but everything that I do always has a spiritual component to it. Like I've tried doing regular things, but apparently with this whole being an 8th house person, like it can't be regular. It's got to be deep and intense and transformative. So it's I love it. I mean, it started when I tried to run away from myself. I was like trying to be normal, and then on my 26th birthday, lightning comes and strikes me in my own bed, and it's just like, all right, we need you to get to work. And I was like, oh my god.
The universe was like, you thought you could be normal? Boom. What?
So
oh, I love it.
After that, I was like, let's drink chocolate and go on an adventure. And from there, it was just a wrap. So
that is just so meaningful to me, because so it's like you're guiding people's spirits in an internal adventure through different realms of them and in general to now bring out so much knowledge. And to me, that's specifically like Cancer in the 9th house. Like you really brought that to life right now, which is very fascinating to me, right? And then it's like you're transforming their experience of the spirit. So that's awesome. And to be able to to be able to guide people in that way, especially with words and language, or just flowing with their soul and then anchoring it too, like that's really deep. And what kind of chocolate were you drinking?
Oh, well, actually, it was raw. So
raw chocolate,
cacao, and when you have it in ceremony with me, we activate it, and it's like you feel every single cell in your body vibrate. Because a lot of people, they do cacao, and you just have to know the difference between a performance and a ceremony. So, nice. And if you activate it, it activates. I call it like a spiritual multivitamin. It works on the root, the crown. It does different things, and yeah, it's gonna be great.
Okay, so on that vein, when you say ceremony, at first I assumed you were just talking about ayahuasca, but what kind of really, and for what you're willing to share, what kind of work do you do in ceremony?
Oh, well,
like if you're explaining it to someone who was interested in doing it and you wanted to give them insight, like,
okay, well, if they wanted to do like cacao with me or ayahuasca ceremony with me, I'm not the primary facilitator of ayahuasca right now. I just co-facilitate. Normally, my role is to sing and to hold the space. So I sing while everyone is releasing, and I help with the cleaning. And same thing with the cacao. I'm singing. I'm leading. I'm literally putting everyone into a trance state, holding you guys there, and then just offering up suggestions. If you want to go into this chamber and release this thing, you totally can. Or you can just be in your own space and fly off into the galaxy, and then I bring you back. So it's like it's a trance. It's a trance journey.
What I really appreciate is how casually you broke down and mentioned the most extraordinary stuff, like just putting a whole room in trance. Like that's not even like it's just easy. Like, oh yeah, just put y'all in trance. You can go to the other edge of the galaxy, and I really appreciate that because as someone who's done a ceremony, like it really can get like that, and like ceremonies that don't really include the singing and the releasing, it just adds a totally different level to it, which I can definitely respect that at that level of co-facilitating ceremonies. What would you say is how can you feel the difference between one who might have taken just a couple here and there versus like it being your lifestyle?
You mean as a person taking the medicine?
Or like instead, because like there's certain people who may have got their foot wet in it, right? Like, oh, they've had a ceremony here, they've had a ceremony here, there, versus you, where like it's your lifestyle. Like you actually co-facilitate ceremonies for other people. So I would say like, even though the ceremony brings everyone together, I would say you're more an insider instead of like an outsider who's trying it for the first time, or maybe has like done it. So how do you feel at that level, or how do you feel like you've changed or integrated all of that?
So when you're on the facilitator side, it's completely different because you're like 1,000% present for everyone else's stuff.
Right.
And like a music conductor, they know what the violins are doing, they know what the tubas are doing, they know what the cellos are doing and the basses are doing all at the same time. It's like that in ceremony. And everything that you're going through gets pushed to the background, and people that are doing it for the first time, you kind of hold them a little bit closer to you because you kind of have to do that because, well, it really depends.
Right.
I think it depends on how much somebody is just resisting letting go of their ego. And I'll just leave it there. Because you can be seasoned and you can be a newbie. And if you're ready to do the work and let it go, then it's completely different from someone's like, oh, I'm here to do this. And I didn't think I was coming here to do this. And then that's the one that you see flopping on the floor like a fish because they're like resisting. So, well,
that was low key my attitude towards like the first couple ayahuasca ceremonies. Like to me beforehand, I thought ayahuasca was like acid. Like I thought I was gonna trip. So I thought it was like a hallucinogenic experience, and I didn't really respect it, and I didn't do the dieta before. So I was just like, I was like, okay, it is what it is. And then I go in and it's just like, wait, what the hell? We're all chanting and like, oh my gosh, like I have to sit with myself and like really release like all this stuff. I would go to the bathroom and release, but like it was just a whole different experience. And what that taught me was like, wow, I have an immature like attitude towards medicine. I stopped seeing it as drugs and started seeing it as medicine.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like, I realize why she's called grandmother, because she literally will beat your ass and then give you a cookie afterwards and say, it's okay, don't worry about it. You're still learning.
No, but like that was literally verbatim my experience with I think the second one. When I didn't do the dieta again, but like I didn't feel like I felt it. Like I was just like, nah, this just ain't it for me. Like I was just in my head, instead of really processing, I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna do this again. Like I'm not even gonna do the rest of the couple days. It wasn't even negative. It was just like I feel like I was just here to like ground everyone else because like I'm not even really feeling it. Like the very next morning, I felt like a new man. I was just like, oh my God. Like I felt my aura popping like, oh. I was like, what? I didn't even feel this the first couple times. What is this? Whoa. And the facilitator was like, maybe this kind of canceled out the dieta. You should probably do the next 2 days. And I should have, but I just left after that first day. But I've done the 3-day one like subsequently, which is intense, but like that was the only time personally where I felt like, I didn't even know I can feel like that. Was just like, whoa, like holy crap. It was intense. It was intense.
Sounds like you still got what you needed from it. I mean,
yeah.
So you never know. It's like a mixed bag.
Oh yeah, no, it really is, because like even certain times after that, it's always like a different experience. There was one time it was like, you thought you weren't gonna feel it. You thought you weren't gonna feel it. I know you've been talking shit, but you thought you were gonna feel it this time. I'm like, oh shit, okay, all right. But I'm trying to make it sound like it has to be like a visceral experience, but yeah, like the whole experience really matured more how I see it. It really was a transition from like, okay, you do psychedelics to get high and like experience some shit and like, have fun, to, oh, okay, like this can really help me release like trauma and like really help me understand myself more. Like it really kind of did that for me.
Oh, okay. Okay, bueno.
Right. And showed my resistance for practices that like kind of force you to be intimate and like do that kind of work and go there. It's definitely requires a certain level of maturity. So all honor to what you do, because it's definitely not easy, for sure.
Well, you did the hardest part. I tell people all the time, like, the hardest part is showing up. Most people can't even show up. So
Have you ever done Kambo?
yes, I have. Kambo helped me through the lockdown.
For real.
I was just like, what's happening? And after I traveled to Mexico and I came back to the States, I did Kambo because I was like, in case there's anything and I encountered anything, I'm going to go wipe my system. And so now when, we're not going to say it, but I'm clean. I've got my papers.
Right. I feel you. I mean, out of ayahuasca, DMT, to this day, Kambo has been like the most intense experience every time. One time I actually did that to clear before we did DMT as a ceremony. Whoa. Right. I didn't even really feel the DMT like that. I did that. Kambo was the more intense experience. Like,
oh yeah, that
was just, I remember the first time I did it, I think I low-key thought I was gonna die. I was like, oh my god, this is how it was just like and it's like you from your soul, like, and then I started to hear my body talking shit like, this is because you feed me like shit, motherfucker, like you can do, yeah, you gonna start treating me better. I was like, I'm sorry, body.
Yeah, Kambo is like pure work. It's just like, it's not playtime whatsoever.
At a soul level too, like you better get right or this is gonna sound like, damn. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That just makes you stop playing around, all that. It's like, whoa.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Much respect for that medicine. I was like,
seriously. Apparently, right? It's the poison secreted from a frog that can kill fear, rather, because now it kind of doesn't really fear. I said that really wrong, but that was kind of like the premise.
Well, I mean, it is the poison secreted from the frog, and it clears your vision. It clears you. It gives you strength. And I mean, it gives you a lot of strength. Because I was in Atlanta when they started doing those riots last summer, and I just felt this wave like go through the city. I was like, what is this? And I did Kambo, and I was like, haha, I have my shields on now. And so I felt really good after that.
Right. Oh my god. don't do Kambo unless you're ready to let it go. Like at a soul level to be purging too. Like, oh my God. Like, and then you get like the dots, and I feel like those are war scars. Like, I made it. I made it. You just be wanting it to be over as soon as it starts. Like,
absolutely.
I remember the first time I was like, all right, I could do this. Oh, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. Oh, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. Oh, I got, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? I hope I make it. Like, damn, holy shit. Oh, my bad. Like, it's just such a memorable experience. Shout out to Spiritual Bodybuilder. He was the facilitator.
Oh, nice.
That is that dude. He's legit.
I mean, you got to have a strong person to do Kambo. He looks pretty strong.
That is a fact. But damn. So, how has your journey been as a spirit tour guide? Well, yeah.
Well, it requires a lot of courage. And it's just like, my guys are always like, okay, go here. I'm like, but I don't have a flashlight. It's dark. I'm like, yeah, you don't need one. And I'm like, oh, okay. And you go in there and you walk through, and then they're just like, oh, did you see the crocodiles? And I was like, there were crocodiles in there. Oh my gosh. But no, it's been great. Like, I'll go randomly show up places, and then I'll meet the people that I need to help me along the way. And then all of a sudden, these things happen. Like the second day I landed in Mexico, I got taken to a peyote ceremony. And then how did I know that I was going to meet all the people that are playing like integral key relationships in my life that are connecting me to so many other things? Wow. And then I was like, okay, yeah, we're going to eat some cactus around the fire. It's going to be great.
The first time I ever did that, I was in a sweat lodge.
Okay.
And like, I didn't even know at the time that the peyote would be what it was. Like, it was just, I was in the sweat lodge, like super hot. And it was like, okay. And I'm just eating this cactus that kind of tastes a little juicy. And like the sweat, at first, it was my first time doing a sweat lodge like this. It got so extremely hot. I swear, in that moment, I made myself think I was going to die. I was like, I'm not going to survive. And I got up and I tried to run out. And then they're like, no, chill. And I sat down and I just sat with my breath and I survived. It was one of the most intense experiences of my life. It was so intense, I didn't even notice the peyote until after the fact where we finished. And it's like, oh, shit. That was like crazy.
Never do Kambo and then a sweat lodge because it reactivates your Kambo. That was a mistake.
Wait, the sweat lodge reactivates the Kambo app? Damn. Oh shit.
Just a little pro tip.
Yeah, thank you. I might have. Well, and that's the thing. Like with all these medicines, like it forces you to approach it with respect. Like you're not just gonna play around on this, or you will get like messed up. It's crazy.
That happened with me with there's a medicine here in Mexico called tepezcoite, which is like an inorganic form of tea.
Whoa.
It's a mimosa. It's the Mexican mimosa, and they extract it from the roots, and you smoke it. And so I thought I was being respectful, and I took it one time, and like she snatched me out of my body. She's like, "You will respect me," and I was like, "Whoa!" I had no idea. And then she put me right back in my body. I was like, I think I'm all set with this medicine for a long time.
Damn. You know what's real when you actually thought you were being respectful. So like, and I noticed like when it that energy is there, it's very like fierce or like intense, and it's like you can get a vibe of it. So I just appreciate that so much, and the spirit of the culture and the energy there too. It must have been a much more like elder influence saying that too. So she just didn't like the way it was done, or like
it was just like I was going for some answers. I had some questions, and then she just kind of slapped me around. She's like, "You will show respect," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, okay." I didn't realize I was being disrespectful.
right.
I honor you. I honor you. I honor you. It's just people
Breathing
forget
wrong in my presence.
the plants. They're older than we are, and they contain
Right.
all the wisdom. And so they're just like, you realize you base your whole life around us. You wear us. You live inside of us in our homes and stuff, and you eat us. Like without us, you'd be dead. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Damn. I love when the plants be talking shit. Oh my god, it's like you think you know everything because you got your social media. Like, damn, okay. And that's I wanted to see if I could. One thing I really appreciate about you is how candid you are with it. You know, bringing your guides and ancestors into your journey. That's something that was initially difficult for me because I would assume that I would just be so like linear in the way I thought. Like if I don't see them physically or hear it, then to me it's like I'm making it up in my head. So it was a really long journey to trusting in this sense, where to the point where every time I'm like, nah, this isn't real. My guides will literally slap me in the face like, synchronicity. Like, who are you saying isn't real? Like, what? We bust our ass to guide you. You think this is, man? And it's just like, oh, snap. And it's just like, you know, what's it really like to work with certain guys? And for those who may be beginning in it, like, what's a way to identify who those are?
Well, first, I feel like our guides, I mean, if we're not attuned to them, they'll show up. Like, I remember when I was young and being extra stupid, I was like 22, just coming home late at night. And all of a sudden I hear this loud bing in my ear and I slam on the brakes. And it was because this Mack truck decides to run a red light in the middle of the night. And had I gone through that intersection, I would have been, so I was just like, okay.
By the way, that's how I got in my last car accident. A drunk driver ran the red light.
Oh no.
Yeah. Walked out like with just a scratch. It was really weird.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like in those moments you're like, okay, so you literally got tapped or nudged or something happened, and you're like, okay, something else was there.
No,
so that's
seriously.
when you guys are like, this is not the time to whisper.
Right.
But a lot of times they like to, they're just like, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to trip and fall. Don't do that. And then they let you trip and fall. And then afterwards, it's like once you start to acknowledge them and realize that they are there, they've been there, they're just waiting for you to acknowledge them, then they start speaking a little bit louder to you.
Right.
And for me, what I always did was like, I need you guys to be obnoxiously clear to me.
Yeah.
Like, you got to show me like multiple something, and for me to get it, I'm like, make it abundantly and obnoxious. And so since then, they're like, oh, okay, let's make it obnoxious for her, and send little kids to tell me a little message. And I'm like, oh.
No, but it really be obnoxious like that. And to the average person, it's like, okay, it was just a little kid. But in real life, it's like, you know what? Like, I just need a sign about the green igloos, and no one's telling me. And then the kid who comes up like, green igloo. It's like, what the fuck? Like it really be obnoxious. And I'm just like, oh, snap. This shit is real. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. I do have guys. Damn, like, or angels, especially. The angels are ruthless. The angels be like, I dare you to tell me. Like, I will put you in a rabbit hole so fast. Dude. Stop playing. Like, damn, this is just like, wow.
I mean, I've heard is like, they're like, don't you dare go to that party.
Damn.
Okay. I'm going to just tell the taxi to turn around and take me back home.
No, I really appreciate. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, and I was going to say, and that's pretty much where it ends. It's like, okay, I hear you. I trust you.
So you hear it. Does it sometimes come as like a feeling too?
I get a feeling, but I don't trust my feelings.
No, see, okay, that right there is very important because that's been such a huge lesson for me too. I didn't even know at the time what I was feeling was intuitive because like maybe I'll have to go somewhere or do something and I'll feel very strong like no, I don't want to do it. And so I train myself to think I can't trust that feeling, like I have to overcome it and do it, and then I'll do it, and then like something like negative happens or something that could have been avoidable, versus sometimes where I feel that feeling and like I trust it, boom, I avoided something, or the class was canceled that day. And it took me near my whole life to really just surrender and trust my feelings, at least even if non-linear, no. And it's just fascinating every time to be consciously aware after the fact. And it's just like, wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't trust my feeling, and I experienced a fake, it was like anaphylactic shock of something where I drank something and then all of a sudden my throat was scratchy and I wasn't feeling good. And all of a sudden I hear my guides like, tell them you can't do this event. And I'm like, I tell them. As soon as I tell them, boom, everything starts to clear up. And they're like, see, we gave you an out. You don't have to lie to them. Like, you were having an allergic reaction and now you're free. And I'm like, oh my God.
No, but like I see there's a way you can say that and someone will almost kind of be like, okay, that's in your head, you're making it up. But it really be like that. They'll just set you up. And that used to piss me off too when some people be like, my guide said this, my guide said that. Because some people will kind of try and blame their guides for everything versus some genuine experience where it's like, yo. And by the time you realize, it's like, oh, that's like, I remember one time I was walking down the street and I just heard like, hit that. And I didn't. And I realized if I hit that street crosser, someone was actually crossing the street. So I would have actually hit that for them. And boom, it would have gone through. And it's little stuff like that that just kind of, because I'm personally so in my head, I'm learning how to like get out my mind and actually tap into these forces. Because I'm actually afraid, because in some sense, I think I might be cussing out the guys around me. It could be the guys that are like, why are you still in bed? Like, get the fuck up. And I'm just like, fuck you, bitch. And I'm thinking like those are like enemy frequencies. It could be my guys just talking sex. So I really need to tap into them and learn. But yeah, like I would say you probably felt connected your whole life. I was gonna ask, when did you start to feel more of the connection? But
so my parents, they are, I grew up in the occult, and I'm just gonna leave it right there. And it's not the or anything like that.
Respect.
And so I started really young because my parents were in it, and when I got older, of course, I could never tell my friends what I was doing on the weekends because they didn't understand anything outside of church. And so when I was a teenager, I deviated and I had to find my own path. Like, they kept on saying all kinds of stuff like, well, witchcraft and magic and this is not the way and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, but I like that stuff. And I think it's good to know about all that stuff if you're going to learn about something. Like, you have to learn about multiple paths to give your own perspective. So me being the natural rebel that I am, I'm like, okay, I have to go learn about witchcraft, even though I may not be an active witchcraft participant or whatever. I mean, how do you even define witchcraft technically? Like, if you look at everything in life, I think everything is magic, personally.
No, everything literally is magic. That is a fact.
Yeah. So I study that, and then I find my teacher. Like, I'm like, I had to get away from these people because I really didn't like what they were talking about. And I go sweat it out in a sweat lodge, find my teachers, and then I come back and I tell my parents, I'm like, we have to get out of this completely. Let's go. And so I convinced everybody to leave, and now we've just been free sovereign beings. So now we're just floating mystics. And fast forward to where I am now, 35. Whew.
Which really, honestly, not everyone follows that call too. Like, not everyone ever makes the decision to follow the path less traveled. So I really do enjoy how each and every single one of us have that run in with like, oh, this is taboo. Oh, this is of the devil, and overcoming that and kind of experiencing on your own. So really dope, really dope. Oh, go ahead.
It was interesting because there was one thing that my dad said to me when I first started studying astrology, because I literally went through a phase where I like locked myself in a cave. I'm like, I must learn all these things. And then my dad's like, be careful. What you subscribe to becomes your life. And I was like, well, I like the planets, so this is perfect. And since then, I remembered that. And yeah, of course, it makes sense.
And I can just say definitively, like, once I truly integrated I don't even want to say the planets, because when you say the planets, personally, people can take that and twist that and be like, oh, you're worshiping the planets or you're deifying. But like, if we just say, okay, like the cosmos, like just integrating this greater consciousness and through the planets, through the solar system, that definitively changed my life. Like, just really, acknowledging that there really is sentience and conscious interaction with these greater beings. Whether you see it as God, whether you see it as gods plural, like, it's been such an amazing journey to discover what this path is and how to live it. So definitely props to you guiding us through this, which is amazing. And let's play the 3 questions game. So basically, we'll take turns asking each other 3 questions. We'll start with you. So you can ask me the question, I'll answer it. Then I'll ask you the question, you'll answer it, and we'll go back and forth 2 more rounds.
Okay.
Boop.
Do I just ask you a question?
My bad. Yeah. So you can ask me any question.
I'm
on the hot seat right now.
Okay. So what was your first realization of, it's like when you study something, that's one thing, but what was your first realization of how like the study of astrology harmonized with your life? Like, what was your first interaction with the planets?
I love that so much. No, I love that so much. I literally have so many stories. Like, and I feel like in a lot of ways, because I don't focus as much as I should, I feel like after you come into that realization, it's like, okay, perfect. Like, we can move forward from there. But it's like Groundhog Day for me. Every day I forget. So the guys are like, oh, we have to show him again. Like, we just gave you the greatest sign again. Now I got to do another one. But you just so unfocused. You go see a butterfly, and now we have to like remind you again. And I feel like it's been very humbling. It's been very humbling. So I can confidently say, and that's really what opened my heart so much about astrology. It's the realizations made where like you study and understand the core concept of the planets and the signs, and then the magic happens where you start to actually see it play out in real life, and like literal doors in your brain start to unlock, like, oh, that's what that is, that's what that is, that's what it is. So unfortunately, I can't really tell you what the very first one was. I know it was definitely building up, but one that is very memorable to me because it was just so magical. This was like years before I actually, you know, a bit lighthearted, like, and the thing about what I learned about magic is when you go with it with like little to no expectation, that's when it works. Like when you go with it wanting to work, it usually doesn't always work, but when you go with it with no expectation and you really let it go, the magic really happens. So like a couple years ago, I really spoke to Jupiter and I was like, hey B, like I kind of need some money, which is some bum stuff to ask in retrospect. I was being a total bum. I was like, yo, can you give me like 300? I asked the king of the gods for $300. Not even like anything serious. It's like, yo, kind of short on money right now. If you could just slide me $300, I will sing you 3 songs. My G, I will dance and sing. And like, I got you. And I literally let that go. I forgot that I even asked that. The only reason why I remembered is less than 3 hours later, I get $250. And the woman who gave me $250 is asking me, oh, hey, I didn't even ask her. She asked me, hey, can I give you an extra $50 so that it will equal 300? I was so astounded. I was like, no, you can keep that. No, you can keep that. And like, who sent me that? The daughter of Jupiter, a Sagittarius woman. So that was Jupiter. Like, that's how you know it was from me. I was like, first of all, I sang. I made sure I freestyle, but that just kind of let me know, like, oh, okay, like there's a direct correlation. It's not just figurative. Like I'm really interacting with these beings. But the one key experience that really made me realize, oh, this is more than real time. I'm pulling up someone's chart. I didn't even expect to meet her that day. And so I asked her for her natal chart. And as I'm looking at her natal chart, maybe she had telepathy. I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe it was body language. But honestly, like, as I'm making the conscious realization, because I realized the sun of my conscious was exactly on her Mars and Eros. So I'm reading it in her chart. And I'm making the conscious realization, like, oh, wow, hypothetically, you know what I'm saying? She would want to have sex with me and she would find me really hot. In that exact same moment, she looks me in the eyes and tells me, take off your shirt. And
Wow.
I swear to God, and in less than like 10 minutes, we're having sex. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And Mars, of course, is of sex. So I'm like, this is science. That's when it was no longer. I was like, this is a science. Like, this is how it works. Like, holy shit. And I hate to use a sexual example, but like that was a game changer for me. And so take those 2 isolated experiences. Every single day of my spiritual journey has been like that. Just like, especially every time I want to doubt, boom, back in the circuit. Like, nope, this is your reality. Like, this is really how it works. Like, I would say one of the first instances. I'm sorry, I'm being such a Gemini, just like saying different. I wouldn't say it's the very first, but and the reason why I didn't say this is it doesn't really tie so much to astrology, but like it was actually in starting this channel. My alien Aquarius uncle, who I'm convinced has powers, because I was asking earlier, like, wow, like my great grandfather on my mother's father's side was like a witch doctor. Like he was he literally founded the village we were in by picking up a sword, right? And like when people would hit him with the machete, they wouldn't take any damage. They were literally invincible. And like his wife apparently was cooking fish. He brought the fish to life. He would tell their family, okay, I'll meet you in the village. And they would leave like an hour before him. He gets there before them. So like, this is my parents. This is my mom telling me, not even to glorify it. My mom's like, oh yeah, we denounced that. We became Christian. Like that's how it's being introduced to me, as if it's like taboo. So I was like, wow, like I want to know more about this guy. Like, have I inherited his powers? Like, I want to know more about that side. In less than like 24 hours, my uncle comes to me and is like, I'm the reincarnation of your great grandfather. And everything that can be known through science. That's the first thing he said. Like everything that can be known. And then that's when he said aliens visited him, and that's how that happened. And like, you know, it was just typical, like trademark Aquarius, just weird, supernatural. And so he at that time was like, don't do astrology, which is important because I had a mentor before him who introduced me into Santeria and initiated me in Palo Mayombe in Puerto Rico. So like, he was another Aquarius that was like, oh, screw astrology. You guys rely on transits. I can just talk to the Orisha. And like hearing that made me believe more in astrology because I'm like, this is so Aquarius. Like this is so your archetype. And it made me appreciate it. So my uncle came again with the like, nah, just forget astrology. When you graduate college, we can, there's certain things we can do, basically. And he had actually convinced me. Before I had my channel, I had a channel called Clear Sight. I started it, I think 2011. I had it for 2 years, and he had actually convinced me to delete that.
Wow.
I felt this sharp pain in my heart too. I wasn't sad, I didn't cry, but I felt this sharp pain in my heart. I don't know why I felt that. Like, so I don't know how that happened, right? To where a couple days later, I get this epiphany. I was like, I can start a new channel. And it just came to me like, you're the peace dealer. Like, I could be the peace dealer. I was like, cool, that works. And no, why that came to me was this ad came for Shopify. And Shopify, right? Like, oh wow, I can actually do this. And that's when the idea came. Oh, I can become the peace dealer, blah, blah, blah. I can start to, create newly. And so my uncle had told me to shovel the snow that day. And I didn't shovel the snow. I was very frustrated. It was very shallow. I should have shoveled the snow though. Like, period. Like I should have shoveled the snow, cleared it. But for that day, I was like, screw that. And I went back to my YouTube channel. Now, mind you, an hour before this, I'm talking to an angel reader who lives in Vienna. Okay. And like what we did, we met through a mutual friend. Shout out to her. She's amazing. She's amazing. Shout out to her. Fellow Gemini. So all she does is she'll pull her special cards and she'll channel angels. She sent me Aura Soma, where like I can clean my aura. And we did this thing where I'll read her astrology and she would read my cards. And we would meet every week. So we were developing this relationship, and like she got to know kind of my situation. And at that specific time, I didn't realize it at the moment because like I don't really like put all these things together. But she did this special. She did this special. You know what I'm saying? Initiation. She said that my special archangel was Haniel, and she did this special initiation where she worked with the angels and like literally stepped me into something new. Mind you, the whole time, this is like early 2014, mind you, when I would get readings with her, I knew she was legit. Like, I didn't think her personally. I didn't think necessarily she was a scam artist. Like, I'm like, she's intuitive. It is what it is. But just like the concept of angels and all that, when she was doing all that, I wasn't taking it fully serious. In the back of my mind, I'm like, she's literally telling me, she's like, okay, we just did the initiation. So be very careful. Your whole life might change. Like everything can go crazy. And in the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's not going to happen. There's no such thing as angels like that. Like, that's not really, I wasn't trying to like make fun of her, but I was just like skeptical. Like, nah, it's not really like that. In less than 1 hour, I get kicked out my house. I have to drop out of school, and I'm literally getting ready to go to another state and start a whole new life. And
wow.
Yes, she felt responsible too. She's like, "Damn, I told you this would happen." So she's calling different people, like, "Hey, let's see what we could do to help?" Right. So the reason why that happened was my uncle saw I didn't shovel the snow, and he's like, "Damn it, I told you not to make this YouTube channel because you're doing this, and it can summon spirits. It's summoning spirits or our children or whatever." And I didn't really believe that, but he said, "If you're gonna do this channel, you can either delete it or you can get out my house." I was like, peace. I just felt like I was ready. And like he drives me.
Wow.
Yes, he drives me to the house of another Gemini who, and shout out to him, man. That's one of the dopest people ever. Shout out to him. He lived in Kansas City, I believe. And so like he dropped me off to Kansas City. And as soon as I let him know what's up, boom, he's hitting people up. He's hitting people up. And so this is the birth of this new channel, by the way. So I decide, okay, I'm gonna go to Cali, just start a new life there, whatever. And he hits somebody up who has a car. It was a, it was a, I forgot. Prius. It was a Prius. It was a Toyota Prius. She needed her Toyota Prius, okay, driven from Wichita to Venice Beach. And that's how I basically got a trip to Venice Beach. I drove the car there. Everything unfolded on its own. I didn't have anything to my name, and I was able to get an apartment in Cali and record the videos that led to me having what I have now. And that's what taught me, like, wow, like I had to trust in spirit for sure. Like, and before I used to be hesitant. Like spirit would tell me, I'd be like, I want to go on a spiritual adventure. And spirit would be like, just leave your house and go. And be like, but I don't have money for this and how to do that. And so it's like, just go. And I'm like, okay, never mind. So like I was in a situation where I got pushed out and spirit's like, see, we got your back. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know how to work. So that was great. And then now I'm thinking now, and I'm glad you brought in astrology. My uncle was an Aquarius, and the woman who the angel reader and Matt were Geminis, right? My uncle was an Aquarius, and the lady who needed that car ride was also an Aquarius. Aquarius is my north node of destiny. So both of them literally, even though my uncle gave me an ultimatum, it ultimately set me on the path of my destiny. And I was literally assisted by angels the whole time. Crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. That is why you're watching this video. That is how the Peace Dealer channel started.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's insane. It's been an adventure ever since. Like nothing has ever been normal. Not like anything has ever been normal, but like, yeah, it's just been wild. So thank you. I feel like that question was very therapeutic and healing. And my question for you is, if you had all the resources, if you had all the money in the world, if you had everything you ever need, that you didn't even need money, right? Like, where would you take what you're doing?
Where would I take what I'm doing? I would set up satellite healing centers all around the world and
Right.
create little spaces for people to develop new healing modalities. And so one part would be like training for people that want to like create new things, and then one part would be for healing that need to rehab themselves. And so it'd be like a residency for people. Because I mean, I'm already teaching right now, so now I just give them like a residency space to go and develop. I'm like, but you have to develop something new. So like, I would put them in incubation tanks to create new things, so that not everybody's doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. So
it's like a holistic research institution. That's
very Gemini.
Right. That's gangster. That's super awesome. Yeah. That's nice to see. We're headed in that future. So now we are in round 2.
Oh, round 2. All right. If you had an opportunity to leave this reality, what elements of this reality would you take into the next reality, and what would you create in the new reality?
That's amazing. A new heaven and a new earth. So that's such a good question. Because there was a part of me that's like, screw this dimension. I'll take nothing from here. I'm too good for this. But I've definitely been humbled, and I stayed down here. And, I feel like I would definitely take the lessons of integrity I learned in every action having a consequence, and focus, definitely focus and discipline. I would definitely establish or take that into the new reality. And principles of truth and knowledge, not just like believing what feels right, but living by what's actually true, if you like it or not. And yeah, that was such a good question. So my second question for you is, what is your favorite superpower that you have?
My favorite superpower. Let's see. I think one of my favorite superpowers. So I'm a really powerful dreamer, and usually when I meet someone, then that night, I'll have a dream about them, and it'll show me everything about them, like everything, and I'm just like so. For example,
That's amazing.
If I meet a guy and he's into me, and I'm like, my conscious self can be like, well, what does he want with me? And then I have a dream about it, and he's like, it's pure lust. Look at him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what he wants. But I mean, like, it would just be revealed to me in my dreams.
Yeah.
So,
and then you'll literally see it play out in real life too, to confirm it, right? Like, no, maybe my dream wasn't true. Oh, it was right. It was right. It was right. Oh no. Damn.
Well, I mean, sometimes if that's what you want, great. But if that's not what you want, then it's nice when someone thinks they're gonna play you.
Yeah.
And then I just continue to like put on my stupid face. I'm like, you think I'm dumb and innocent. Great.
I love having Gemini for that reason. Like, people think we're dumb for some reason. Like, people be acting like we stupid, and it's like, do you know I can see you? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't know. This is crazy. Like, wow.
My ex told me, he's like, you have this like sweet, caring side about you, and then when people cross you, like, you turn around and drown them in the bathtub. Like, what is that about?
That's the Scorpio. I let you breathe. I let you breathe. Do you understand that? You perfectly explain what it means to have Neptune in the third house. That was so well said, because kind of get an exact right, because that's literally the definition of supernatural, incredible abilities. But I noticed, like, with that control there, it's like a direct subconscious communication. So the reason why that hits really hard, I rarely remember my dreams. And last night was my first experience of thinking about someone, going to sleep, and then dreaming of them. And I made sure to note that never usually happens. So for you to say that's your superpower, and like, oh, I can do that, whatever I want, like, that is so awesome.
Well, it was a small sacrifice that most are not willing to.
So smoking weed really does, like, get in the way of your dreams.
Well, smoking weed for me got in the way of, it got in the way of my dreams, but it's like the gift that I got when I put it down, because I was totally just not using it appropriately. I'm just going to be honest. Like, it was my blanket. And when I stopped, I discovered I could sing. Who would have thunk? So I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Stop smoking, you can sing.
Oh, that makes so much sense, right? That's crazy. My lungs, they can breathe.
much.
Wow. That's wild. That's amazing, actually. I think we're on the final round.
The final round. I'm trying to like stay away from the super cliche questions and come up with something thought-provoking.
It's all up to you.
Well, of course. If you could be immune to anything, what would it be?
Bullshit. Okay. First of oh yeah. Actually, I might just have that be my answer. But yeah, personally, if I could be immune to anything, I would want to be immune to lies and deception of all forms. So like I'd just be able to recognize it in any way it's being employed. Bullshit, basically. Right. That was a really good question too. So my final question to you is, if you had a red pill you could share with us, what would you share?
Shit. The red pill that I could share. If I could share a red pill, it would be the ultimate pill of accountability, in the way that everyone that takes the pill realizes how much of a hand that they played in creating the life that they're living currently right now, and how they're either allowing it or not doing anything about it to allow it. So,
right. So basically they can't blame anybody else, like they're making it happen. That's real. So many, one thing on this path is the people who love to just play victim.
I know.
And go on that unraveling, just like, dude, and it's just like, you just want to be like, wake the fuck up! Like, like, what are you talking about? I mean, wanting to do that. I'm like, oh wait, I have to be compassionate. But it's like, damn. Oh, that's amazing. So personally, for those who aren't aware, okay, Nina is a part of our Justice League Alliance and team rather at Clearsight Consulting. So, would you like to share at all, like what a bit about what you offer on the site? Because I see you have some really awesome packages there too, and like retreats.
Yes, actually. So, if you want like a introductory service with me, like usually, okay, let me back up. Usually when people find me, it's because they're caught in some sort of a weird spiritual snafu. And it's like some weird thing that they can't talk about, they don't have the words for, and then normally that's when they find me. And so I help them with that. With shamanic healing, I have a process that I call a cosmic bath, where I clean you up and I bathe you in different forms of light. So I work with like a special kind of like light technology, I call it. I also do psychic readings, work with the tarot and oracle cards, and lately I've been working with the fixed stars. I got this amazing fixed star deck that I absolutely love, and so you can just kind of like meditate with each star and like attune to it. It's amazing. Also, and then for those of you who are ready to learn how to make your magic work for you, I have an energy healing certification program that's shamanic based, but you will, and it's like 10 to 13 month journey. And depending on what your level of commitment is, by the time you're done, you will have figured out how to activate and tap in, of course, all your clairs, because we all have them. Hold sacred space properly and be able to do it in integrity and be able to identify people who are not doing it and know how to protect yourself while being amidst all of that. And of course, my favorite part is I also teach psychic self-defense, because if you awaken your abilities, you got to be able to protect yourself. That doesn't mean that you're being attacked and you're a victim, but you shouldn't be ignorant to what's going on around you. So it's kind of like clothes. You know, you're awake, you're a baby, and there are elements out there, and you have to wear clothes to protect yourself from the elements. And that is psychic self-defense in the psychic world. Also, a new thing that I added are ritual retreats. So for whoever wants to get away for 6 days, I will take you out on a deep, transformative, very Plutonian, transformative retreat for 6 days in Mexico, in the heart of Mexico. I know all the cool spots, and it's a beautiful package. So you don't have to wait for the spring or the fall. You can be whenever you want. You just reach out and you set it up with me. Soon, I will be releasing some programs on mystical illuminations to be continued soon. But a lot of them will be like 13-day rituals and a show.
Stay tuned for that. That's going to be dope. Y'all seen my 33-day ritual. So, you know, her 13-day rituals are going to be legit. And I just realized right now, because you said that you do light shows, and I realized that as a Scorpio rising, you manifest light as a Sagittarius second house. So you literally have like ascended magical ability. It's lit. And I realized like the Gemini woman who helped me change my life or like did that initiation, she's also a Scorpio rising. So, right. Y'all do not play around. Like, damn. It'd be like, wow. So much appreciated. And yeah, you know, the site, like asked, is in the description box. So for those of you who want to check out her YouTube channel, look at the description box below. You can see her YouTube. For those of you who would like to consult her services, which I don't know why, if you want some magic, I'm gonna just be real. If you want some high level magic, like the good stuff, hit her up. Okay. Like definitely, you know, build in that sense. You know, it's definitely legit, and definitely make sure you subscribe to her channel too. And in conclusion, do you have any like words of wisdom or like advice for anyone walking or starting off this journey?
Words of wisdom. Well, you're gonna survive this. We signed up for this. You know, just trust. I know it's scary, but the magic is in the unknown. You know, it's like the biggest gem that I can ever offer someone is like the greater the sacrifice, the bigger the treasure.
That's a fact. I love that. On that note, we can end right there at 4:44 PST. Y'all stay blessed as always. Nia, thank you so much for joining us once again. And peace out.